A young appraiser identifies an S-rank platinum ore, noting its potential for crafting fine armor and swords. He continues his work, sorting through crates of B-rank and C-rank materials, realizing he has 5 more containers to go. Suddenly, an aristocrat named Anne-Marisa arrives with guards, bringing another 1,000 ores and demanding they be appraised by tomorrow. Anne-Marisa dismisses the appraiser's shock, stating they need plenty of weapons because war with the Grouse Empire is imminent. The appraiser feels his body reaching its limit, protesting that he can't possibly finish the task. Despite his physical exhaustion, he resolves to continue, remembering the pain of going without food and pay. As he lifts another heavy crate, a voice from the walkway above tells him he should stop. An uninvited guest has arrived, marking the start of a story that will change his life. This new fantasy tale begins. The appraiser wonders who the newcomer is, unable to see his face in the darkness, and is warned that continuing to use his magic will kill him. The cloaked figure then extends an invitation, asking why the appraiser doesn't come to the Empire. The appraiser's mind races, realizing the man is from the enemy nation and worrying the guards might come, even as he wonders about the intruder's identity. His appraisal magic activates, revealing the intruder is a military officer from the Empire, which sends a jolt of fear through him. The officer calmly states that shouting is useless as the guards are drunk, advising the appraiser to be more cautious and assess the situation before using his magic. The appraiser is stunned that the man noticed his appraisal magic, something no one has ever done before, explaining it's a habit born of curiosity. The officer reveals he can appraise people and has investigated the boy thoroughly, which only deepens his interest. The officer offers him a normal life and the chance to become a noble in the Empire, a prospect that surprises the kneeling appraiser. The appraiser questions the convenient offer, wondering if it's a recruitment attempt, but the officer insists it's simply a choice he's being offered. The officer argues that the appraiser deserves more recognition for his absurd workload, explaining that in his nation, strength and skill matter more than birth or status. The appraiser wryly notes that sounds like persuasion, and the officer agrees, stating that in the Empire he would be valued. The officer gives him an ultimatum, saying he will wait at the south gate at midnight, as the appraiser tries to refuse. Before leaving, the officer tosses a small, glowing object to the floor as a gift. The object projects a scene, and the appraiser recognizes Anne-Marisa's voice as the officer tells him to use it to make his judgment. The appraiser looks on in shock, realizing he's watching recorded footage of Anne-Marisa celebrating with a high noble. The high noble in the recording praises the decision to make the commoner an appraiser, noting how prophets have soared since. Anne-Marisa smugly states they were only following His Excellency's orders, while the noble wonders aloud how long the appraiser will last. The high noble laughs, agreeing they can't have him dying too soon, proposing they squeeze as much out of the commoner as possible before he perishes. The recording fills the appraiser with despair as he questions if he's supposed to risk his life working for such scum. He recalls his past as an orphan on the streets, lured by food and money only to be forced into labor. The memory of having no power or choice, only a desire for a normal life, collides with the officer's offer to come to the Empire, presenting him with his first real decision. He clenches his fist, realizing that if a chance for a different life exists, he must take it. At midnight, he stands alone before the south gate. He searches for the officer in the nearby trees, deciding appraisal might be faster to locate him. The cloaked figure emerges from the woods, apologizing for the wait, but the appraiser says he's right on time. Under the light of the full moon, the figure removes his hood. He introduces himself as Ars Bellart and expresses his gladness that the appraiser came. Bellart tells him they can talk as they go, intending to get him out of the city, and asks what exactly his appraisal magic reveals about people. The appraiser explains he sees a person's name, age, role, abilities, and both their acquired skills and innate talents, as shown by his appraisal of Ars Bellart. The appraiser notes that Major Bellart's talent score is higher in archery than swordsmanship, prompting Bellart to wonder if he should have studied archery instead. Bellart dismisses the thought, stating that effort matters more than talent and that the appraiser is fine as he is. He explains that talent scores are just a guide for those starting from zero, then asks if the appraiser chose his skill. The appraiser admits he can't appraise himself and that he just happened to have the talent for it. They reach a midpoint in the woods where a cart is waiting. Bellart gives the appraiser a letter of introduction and instructs him to head to an address in the note upon arrival, from where he'll be guided to the Empire. The appraiser tearfully expresses his gratitude for being accepted, despite only being able to appraise. He looks back at the kingdom, acknowledging that while his memories are bitter, he finally has one good memory to take with him. Bellart extends a hand toward him. Bellart reassures him that he does have ability, and that it was only his environment that held him back. The appraiser agrees as Bellart boards the covered wagon. Bellart reflects on the boy's potential, believing he might one day be someone who stands by Her Majesty's side. 10 days later, the wagon travels through a mountainous region as the driver tells the boy to wake up. The boy jolts awake, thinking of work, but the driver tells him to look, as the imperial capital is now in sight. He pulls back the canvas, remembering that he has defected to the empire as he stares in awe. They are approaching Calisome, the imperial capital of the Grouse Empire. A grand city protected by high walls sits nestled against a mountain range. Inside the walls, a towering, intricate castle dominates the skyline above traditional buildings. The boy walks through the bustling city streets, taking in the new sights and sounds. He finds the location Major Bellart had mentioned. He stands before the imposing gates of the Imperial military base. He explains to a guard that he was referred by Major Bellart and presents his letter of introduction. The guard, Kaijin, scoffs, refusing to believe Major Bellart would refer a scrawny runt, but the boy insists it's true. A carriage pulls up and a figure steps out, whom Private Kaijin immediately salutes as Major Rudolph. Rudolph, a young major, confirms he's received a report from Bellart and identifies the boy as a Ruto, dismissing the private to his duties. Rudolph introduces himself and offers to show Aruto around the base, which Aruto gratefully accepts. Now in a uniform, Aruto walks with Rudolph, who apologizes for missing him earlier and remarks that the uniform fits well. Rudolph reads Bellart's letter, which details Aruto's ability to perform over 800 appraisals daily, including human appraisal, and recommends he be trained from zero and given subordinates. Rudolph finds the report about Aruto's unique ability interesting, while Aruto humbly insists he was just an appraiser. Rudolph explains that Aruto will enlist as a candidate officer and will be promoted if he achieves results on missions. To Aruto's surprise, Rudolph immediately gives him his first mission: to use his appraisal magic to train a subordinate from the Protective Facilities senior group to strengthen their forces. The goal is to ensure his chosen trainee passes the Military Academy entrance exam a month from now. Rudolph tells him he can use his appraisal ability to see which candidates are on par with others, but the final choice is his. Aruto decides to begin by appraising the 7 candidates standing before him. He activates his appraisal magic, a glowing ring of text forming in his hands. Rudolph watches with keen interest, eager to see the results of Aruto's focused assessment. The appraisal reveals a group of 15-year-olds. Shora and Golters with A-rank magic, Jelbin with A-rank spear technique, Karina with B-rank archery, and Ralph and Lurist with C-rank combat skills. Aruto notes that they are all promising, but one stands out among them. He identifies the red-haired Sarah as the most talented, a 15-year-old with an S-rank in swordsmanship. Rudolph is impressed, confirming that Sarah has been considered a genius since the facility began, and Aruto agrees with the assessment. Aruto considers that if he chooses the brilliant Sarah, her success won't reflect on him, as he observes her yelling at another girl, Lily, for being too slow during training. A timid, horned girl named Lily apologizes meekly. Sarah warns Lily that at this rate, she'll have to repeat the year. Other candidates mock Lily for her lack of talent and slowness, calling her an idiot. Aruto turns to the major and asks for clarification, confirming that raising someone doesn't just mean improving their physical ability. Rudolph confirms this, stating that any trainee is acceptable as long as they prove useful to the army, and asks if Aruto has already found someone. He replies that he has, just as Lily collapses from exhaustion on the training ground. Aruto approaches the training yard, and the candidates fall silent, noticing his candidate officer's badge and whispering about the elite newcomer. As the trainees line up, Aruto feels all their eyes on him, and Rudolph tells them to be quiet. Rudolph senses Aruto's nervousness and quietly encourages him to walk with more confidence. Addressing the trainees, Rudolph interrupts their session to get straight to the point. One of them will be chosen as an assistant to candidate officer Aruto. The trainees buzz with excitement. One girl assumes the lucky rookie, Sarah, will be chosen, while others express shock and hope it will be them. Rudolph gestures to Aruto, telling him to make his choice. Aruto points past the stunned and hopeful faces of the other trainees. He chooses candidate Lily, who looks up in complete surprise. Lily stands with a serene expression, holding books near a window. Her composure shatters into panicked confusion as she questions being chosen. Rudolph announces that business is concluded and orders all candidates except Lily to continue training. A candidate named Marlia objects, asking for a moment, but is ordered back into formation for sprints as the group murmurs in confusion over the choice. Marlia cannot accept the decision, questioning why Lily, a failure, was chosen over others. The instructor, Marlia, is told this is an order and no objections are allowed, but Rudolph says he doesn't mind hearing her out. He asks if she wants to know why Lily was chosen, and Marlia confirms that she does. Aruto steps forward and declares that training candidate Lily is not a failure. He explains that she simply has potential but doesn't fit the current environment. Marlia is confused by his mention of her environment. Aruto realizes Marlia isn't convinced and decides he must demonstrate his ability. Rudolph intervenes, proposing a mock battle in 1 week between Lily and Marlia, with the result determining if an appeal will be allowed. Marlia thanks him for the opportunity and vows to win, while Lily stands silent. Rudolph tells Aruto that he is counting on him and looks forward to the result. Aruto introduces himself to Lily, who nervously greets him as Lord Alto. The title makes Aruto sweat, reminding him of how different his treatment is now compared to being called scum in the kingdom. He asks to perform a detailed appraisal on Lily, which surprises her, as she asks if he can appraise people. She is amazed by his ability, calling it expected of an executive, while Aruto clarifies he is an executive candidate. Lily agrees to the appraisal. Aruto prepares to focus his magic power more finely and strongly than when he appraised the group. He channels his magic, envisioning seeing everything about her, and begins the detailed status appraisal. The appraisal reveals extremely low F-rank stats for strength, defense, agility, and evasion, making it clear that physical training must have been painful for her. But one stat stands out, confirming his initial assessment, an S-rank in support magic. After writing down the results, he asks Lily if she wants to see them. Lily is shocked to learn she has magical talent, and Aruto tells her that with effort, she can become truly strong. The recognition brings Ballart's words to his mind, that he had ability, and it was just his environment holding him back. Aruto decides they should start by practicing magic and asks if there is a library where they can gather information. Lily leads him to their classroom. He is amazed to see that the classroom is a massive, circular library, which Lily explains was converted from an emergency food storage, and he notices a mix of military and mundane books. As he watches other candidates being pushed through grueling physical drills outside, he reflects that this place truly feels like a meritocracy. He sees Lily struggling to lift a heavy box of books and is reminded that his purpose here isn't just for himself. He resolves that for Lily's sake, he must help her develop her talent. Lily insists she can find the book herself, noting that Aruto is new here, but he tells her it's okay, as he's good at this. He spreads his magic out thinly and widely, imagining a gentle touch across the entire room. Exclamation marks appear over several books and boxes, and he points to a specific crate, telling Lily an introductory book is in there. Lily is amazed to find the book exactly where he said, realizing appraisal magic can also be used to find things. They open the book and read about the different types of support magic, from spells that strengthen allies to those that weaken enemies. Aruto understands the basics of support magic and asks Lily if there's any spell she wants to try first. Lily suggests Power Up and Speed Up, which Aruto surmises is because she's still concerned about her poor performance in the marathon. A few hours pass as they study. After some practice, Aruto instructs Lily to try one more time, focusing on narrowing her magic power and spreading it through her body. Lily closes her eyes and concentrates, a magical aura glowing around her. He appraises her and sees it's a success. Her strength stat has increased, and he realizes that if she can learn various spells, she will be useful in missions and the mock battle. He then suggests they test her newfound strength on the heavy box of books from before. With a grunt of effort, Lily prepares to lift the crate. She successfully moves the box that she couldn't budge earlier. Lily is amazed, but she credits her success to Lord Alto, though he insists it's the result of her own hard work. Excited, she says she'll try harder, but Aruto stops her, noting his appraisal shows she just used more than half her magic power. A look at her status shows her magic power is at 20 out of 39 and is increasing. Aruto calculates that she recovers 1 magic point every 3 minutes, and since one activation costs 20 points, continuous use is currently impossible. Lily is confused by how he knows her appraisal results, and he explains that only he can see them before deciding to appraise the magic itself. He focuses his appraisal on the magic, not Lily, and discovers her S-rank aptitude provides a significant aptitude correction, boosting the spell's effect far beyond its normal level. Just then, another candidate enters the room to excuse herself. An elf-like girl tells Lily that training for the day is over and that Mr. Sanzai needs her to report to Major Rudolph's room. As she walks to the meeting, Lily reflects that her repetitive practice has increased her magic power limit, but she also discovered that support magic effects do not stack, which means she needs to raise her level to enhance them for the battle. In Rudolph's office, Rudolph asks Mr. Sanzai for his opinion of the new executive candidate, Aruto. Sanzai admits his first impression was that Aruto seemed unreliable and asks who he is exactly. Rudolph reveals that according to a memo, Aruto used appraisal magic more than 800 times a day, a number that stuns Sanzai. Rudolph continues, explaining that the memo contained the appraisal results of all the training candidates, including their names and specialties, proving Aruto can appraise people. Sanzai is shocked, knowing that appraisal magic normally cannot be used on moving objects. Rudolph smiles, holding the memo as proof that Aruto is overturning the common sense of appraisal magic, and asks if Sanzai isn't curious about what such a person will do. Lily confirms to Rudolph that she used her appraisal of the magic to determine its optimal use, and Rudolph correctly surmises that Aruto is likely still unaware of his own uniqueness. Rudolph explains that while he cannot go into detail, there is a reason for Aruto's unfamiliarity with social conventions. He continues that Aruto's consent will be necessary in the future, whether they decide to hide his abilities or make them public. Therefore, Rudolph asks Lily to become Aruto's direct subordinate to help him realize the unique nature of his powers, clarifying that it is a request, not an order. Lily enthusiastically accepts, stating that she would be honored. In her excitement, she leans forward suddenly over the tea table. Rudolph, pleased that the matter is settled, gives her a key and says he is counting on her to be a source of support for Aruto. Back in their quarters, Aruto announces the next training exercise. He holds up 2 fingers and suggests they try using 2 spells at the same time, an idea that Lily nervously accepts. Lily concentrates, activating Power Boost and Speed Boost simultaneously as magic circles glow before her. Aruto confirms via appraisal that it's working, noting her strength and speed have increased, but Lily finds the effort exhausting. He observes that her maximum mana pool is increasing steadily but wonders about the level of her boost magic. His appraisal confirms the magic's level hasn't changed, so he decides that if this training won't increase it, he should try something he read about. He tells Lily they're going to try a different kind of training. He shows her a passage in a book that mentions defeating monsters. Aruto explains that according to the book, killing monsters is how one can break through their limits and asks if there is a place nearby where they can hunt. Lily replies that there are monsters in the forest managed by the army, but they will need Major Rudolph's permission to go. Aruto declares the plan perfect and decides they should go right away. They walk through the sprawling capital city. As they walk, Lily remarks that they must really trust Master Aruto, confusing him until she explains that normally, no one gets permission for such things. At Rudolph's office, he grants them access to the army's forest and suggests they feel free to hire an adventurer if they need a porter. Rudolph then adds that if anyone catches Aruto's eye, he has permission to recruit them as a subordinate. On the street, Lily points out the closest adventurers' guild to the military base. Inside the bustling 2-story guild hall, various adventurers complain about low-paying jobs like weeding. Others notice the arrival of the soldiers, and Lily hopes they find someone good. Aruto approaches a reception desk and states he is looking for someone to carry their luggage. Nearby, adventurers chat, with some boasting about returning from an A-rank quest while others talk about simple weeding jobs. Aruto observes the scene, realizing that in a guild, the merit-based system is on full display, with adventurers divided into classes based on skill and achievement. The different ranks, from F, E, D up to A, B, C, separate the adventurers into distinct social and professional tiers. As Lily explains their destination is the army's forest, a figure suddenly lunges toward Aruto's feet. The figure trips and lands face-first on the floor. Aruto looks down in surprise at the woman sprawled before him. He sees a sign on her back that reads, "Looking for work," and dismisses her as too suspicious to hire. He decides that in times like these, the best course of action is to use his appraisal. As he begins, the woman is grabbed by the collar. The guildmaster, a woman Lily calls Miss Rubchan, addresses the fallen adventurer as Miss Firen. Rubchan scolds Firen, reminding her this is the 8th time she has been caught directly soliciting clients, which is forbidden. As Firen is dragged away screaming about her job, other adventurers comment on her predicament, hoping they don't end up like her. Being pulled toward the exit, Firen desperately calls out to Aruto to save her. Aruto clenches his fist, having made a decision. He steps forward, interrupting Rubichan as Firen pleads that she is at her limit and has no money. Looking past the bickering adventurers and the struggling Firen, Aruto points. He declares that he will hire that person, stunning Rubichan into silence. Sometime later, the group is at a restaurant called Big Hamburg. Lily asks why he chose Firen, and Aruto explains that he was intrigued and appraised her. His appraisal revealed Firen has S-rank potential in archery, just like Lily's potential in support magic, which is why he chose her, while the recruited Firen cries tears of joy over her delicious hamburger steak. Having finished her meal, a grateful Firen declares that when it comes to the job, they can leave it to Big Sis. Lily then formally asks Firen if she would like to become Master Aruto's subordinate. Firen is confused by the offer, which Aruto finds amusingly blunt, and he explains that she has a talent for archery. This surprises Firen, who asks how he could possibly know that, and Aruto explains his former job was an appraiser. Firen protests that she has no weapon or money and has never even touched a bow. Aruto explains that to understand more, they would need to appraise her in greater detail. Before he can finish, Lily jumps in with a special, limited-time offer. If she becomes Aruto's subordinate, her room and board will be provided for free. The word, free, catches Firen's attention. Lily adds that a weapon is included and that Aruto has acknowledged her potential, admitting she feels a little lonely on her own. Lily then asks Firen if she would become his subordinate with her. Firen clasps Lily's hands, excitedly agreeing to support Master Aruto together. With the decision made, Aruto announces they will go buy her a weapon. After leaving a weapons shop, the trio is pleased to have found a good weapon for their new member. Now equipped, Aruto suggests they train a little before heading to the forest, and an enthusiastic Firen declares she's going to give it her all. As the group walks away, a soldier points them out to a superior, announcing that Major Lulubelle is back. A large, grizzled man watches them with a smirk, wondering which one is Rudolph's favorite. Aruto and his new subordinates, Firen and Lily, are confronted by another group of soldiers. The soldiers mock Aruto's team, calling them a combination of a failing cadet and a forever F-rank adventurer who suit each other. One of the soldiers is suddenly struck down from behind. The massive Major Rubel appears, his fists glowing, and furiously asks his men if they've gone soft, calling them weak for putting others down. He turns his attention to Aruto, identifying him as Rudolph's favorite, and Aruto introduces himself. Rubel looks down on Aruto's group with disdain, remarking that he'd heard Rudolph had taken a liking to him but that they don't amount to much. The Major's intense gaze falls upon them as he declares the military is no playground for the weak. His immense pressure causes Firen, Lily, and Aruto to recoil. Rubel asserts that the military is the domain of the strong, not a place for those who need protection. Aruto internally analyzes the Major's words, concluding that he believes the strong fight while the weak should stay away from danger. Getting the Major's attention, Aruto asks if he may pose a question, and Rubel tells him to speak. Aruto asks if Rubel is saying the military has no need for educators who raise the strong, a point Rubel concedes is necessary. Aruto then presses further, asking if an educator must themselves be strong. Rubel scoffs, asking if Aruto is trying to say he's a first-rate educator. The Major declares it obvious that disciples surpassing their masters is a common occurrence. Aruto clarifies that he is not claiming to be a great educator, but he does believe he has an eye for people's potential. He glances back at the Major's three subordinates. He confidently states that it is certain his girls have more potential than the three of them. Rubel, intrigued by Aruto's argument, proposes a challenge. In 1 month, during the Academy entrance exam's dual portion, Aruto's team will fight his three subordinates. Aruto agrees, stating that if the opponents are those three, passing is a sure thing, which makes Rubel laugh and declare things are getting interesting. As Rubel leads his men off for drinks, the soldier who was struck down looks back silently. The soldier clutches a handkerchief in his pocket, his expression grim. Back in their quarters, Lily and Firen apologize to Aruto, feeling they were useless during the confrontation. Aruto reassures them, explaining that Major Rubel's presence was on another level and there was nothing they could have done. As his companions worry, Aruto consults his appraisal ability and is surprised to see Lily's level has gone up. Firen is shocked by the spacious and well-furnished living quarters provided for them. She asks if it's really okay for her to live there, and Aruto confirms it is. Firen cries with joy, thankful to be saying goodbye to a life of camping out. As Firen hugs Lily, Aruto says he needs to visit the classroom again as he isn't knowledgeable about bows. Lily stops him, saying there is something important she needs to tell him first. The three of them sit down with drinks as Aruto asks what the important matter is. Lily reveals that it's about his appraisal magic. She explains that just as he worked as an appraiser in his past life, this city also has many appraisers. However, she states that not a single one of them can appraise people. She clarifies that normal appraisers can only assess objects, seeing their name, price, and a value rank from S to F, but appraising living beings is impossible for them. Lily declares that Aruto's ability to appraise people is at the level of a military secret. Aruto is taken aback, flashing back to his time as an appraiser in the kingdom. He remembers being berated by his superior. The superior had yelled that any normal person could do what he did and that being proud of it was embarrassing. He then asked Aruto what result he received when he was appraised. Aruto recalls that it was over 10 years ago. He tells the girls that if the result had been good he would have remembered it, so it must not have been much, but Lily suggests his ability may have been suppressed to keep it hidden. Firen now understands, adding that her own aptitude was for the bow, and this is the first time she's ever heard of someone being able to appraise people. Lily apologizes, explaining that back at the guild, she steered the conversation away from his ability because she didn't know if Firen would be joining them. Aruto begins to process the new information, questioning if his ability to appraise human aptitudes is truly that unusual. Lily looks at him seriously, saying it's more than unusual. She states that it's a unique ability that belongs only to him. She then asks him what he intends to do with this power. Lily clarifies, asking if he means to announce to the world that he can appraise people, which could allow him to rise to the rank of major or even higher. Firen is amazed by the prospect of him becoming a major like the huge man from earlier. Aruto gives a simple, firm no, stating he will not announce it. He thanks Lily for telling him but confirms he will keep it a secret. Firen is shocked by his decision, but Lily says she figured he would say that. Lily explains that going public carries risks, as not everyone gets good results from an appraisal, and he would make many enemies. She turns to Aruto for confirmation, and he looks away nervously. He admits that when he heard going public, he imagined having to stand before crowds and appraise their aptitudes. This vision included opening an appraisal shop, being buried in quotas, and living a life of constant appraisals, which he never wants to experience again. He concludes that he'll just have to be careful not to get noticed when appraising people, a response that makes Lily and Firen realize he doesn't grasp the true gravity of his power's secrecy. With the matter settled, Aruto declares it's time to start training, and they agree to go look for a book on archery. Just as they are about to leave, a female candidate with a sword arrives to deliver a message. She informs Officer Cadet Aruto that before departing for the military forest, Major Rudolph has something to say and that he must come to his room, alone, in 2 hours. The news makes the group uneasy, with Lily wondering if it's about the incident at the gate and Firen worrying it's about her.